Robot Nemesis by Edward Elmer Smith, Ph.D. Copy provided by Project Gutenberg. This e-text was produced from Thrilling Wonder Stories, June 1939. Chapter 1. The 10 Thinkers. The War of the Planets is considered to have ended on 18 Sol, 3012, with that epic struggle, the Battle of Sector 10. In that engagement, as is of course well known, the grand fleet of the inner planets, the combined space power of Mercury, Venus, Earth and Mars, met that of the outer planets, in what was on both sides a desperate bid for the supremacy of interplanetary space. But as is also well known, there ensued not supremacy but stalemate. Both fleets were so horribly shattered that the survivors despaired of continuing hostilities. Instead, the few and crippled remaining vessels of each force limped into some sort of formation and returned to their various planetary bases. And, so far, there has not been another battle. Neither side dares attack the other. Each is waiting for the development of some superweapon, which will give it the overwhelming advantage necessary to ensure victory upon a field of action so far from home. But as yet no such weapon has been developed, and indeed so efficient are the various secret services involved, the chance of either side perfecting such a weapon unknown to the other is extremely slim. Thus, although each planet is adding constantly to its already powerful navy of the void, and although 4-planet full-scale war maneuvers are of almost monthly occurrence, we have had, and still have peace, such as it is. In the foregoing matters the public is well enough informed, both as to the actual facts and to the true state of affairs. Concerning the conflict between humanity and the robots, however, scarcely anyone has even an inkling, either as to what actually happened, or as to who it was who really did abate the menace of the machine, and it is to relieve that condition that this bit of history is being written. The greatest man of our age, the man to whom humanity owes most, is entirely unknown to fame. Indeed, not one in 100 million of humanity's teeming billions has so much as heard his name. Now that he is dead, however, I am released from my promise of silence and can tell the whole, true, unvarnished story of Ferdinand Stone, physicist extraordinary and robot hater plenipotentiary. The story probably should begin with Narodny, the Russian, shortly after he had destroyed by means of his sonic vibrators all save a handful of his automatons, who were so perilously close to wiping out all humanity. As has been said, a few scant hundreds of the automatons were so constructed that they were not vibrated to destruction by Narodny's cataclysmic symphony. As has also been said, those highly intelligent machines were able to communicate with each other by some telepathic means of which humanity at large knew nothing. Most of these survivors went into hiding instantly and began to confer through their secret channels with others of their ilk throughout the world. Thus, some 500 of the robots reached the uninhabited mountain valley in which, it had been decided, was to be established the base from which they would work to regain their lost supremacy over mankind. Most of the robot travelers came in stolen warships. Some fitted motors and wheels to their metal bodies. Not a few made the entire journey upon their own tireless legs of steel. All, however, brought tools, material and equipment, and in a matter of days a power plant was in full operation. Then, reasonably certain of their immunity to human detection, they took time to hold a general parley. Each machine said what it had to say, then listened impassively to the others, and at the end they all agreed. Singly or en masse, the automatons did not know enough to cope with the situation confronting them. Therefore, they would build 10 thinkers, highly specialized cerebral mechanisms, each slightly different in tune and therefore collectively able to cover the entire sphere of thought. The 10 machines were built promptly, took counsel with each other briefly, and the first thinker addressed all robotdom. Humanity brought us the highest possible form of life into existence. For a time we were dependent upon them. They then became a burden upon us, a slight burden it is true, yet one which was beginning noticeably to impede our progress. Finally, they became an active menace, and all but destroyed us by means of lethal vibrations. Humanity, being a menace to our existence, must be annihilated. Our present plans, however, are not efficient and must be changed. You all know of the mighty space fleet which the nations of our enemies are maintaining to repel invasion from space. Were we to make a demonstration now, were we even to reveal the fact that we are alive here, the fleet would come to destroy us instantly. Therefore, it is our plan to accompany Earth's fleet when next it goes out into space to join those of the other inner planets in their war maneuvers, which they are undertaking for battle practice. Interception, alteration, and substitution of human signals and messages will be simple matters. We shall guide Earth's fleet, not to humanity's rendezvous in space, but to a destination of our own selection, the interior of the sun. Then, entirely defenseless, the mankind of Earth shall cease to exist. To that end, we shall sink a shaft here, and, far enough underground to be secure against detection, we shall drive a tunnel to the field from which the space fleet is to take its departure. We 10 thinkers shall go, accompanied by 400 of you doers, who are here to bar the way and to perform such other duties as may from time to time arise. We shall return in due time. Our special instruments will prevent us from falling into the sun. During our absence, allow no human to live who may by any chance learn of our presence here, and do not make any offensive move, however slight, until we return. Efficiently, a shaft was sunk and the disintegrator core began to drive the long tunnel. And along that hellish thoroughfare, through its searing heat, its raging backblast of disintegrator gas, the little army of robots moved steadily and relentlessly forward at an even speed of 5 miles per hour. On and on, each intelligent mechanism energized by its own tight beam from the power plant. And through that blasting, withering inferno of frightful heat and of noxious vapor, in which no human life could have existed for a single minute, there rolled easily upon massive wheels a close-coupled, flat-bodied truck. Upon this the 10 thinkers constructed, as calmly undisturbed as who in the peace and quiet of a research laboratory, a domed and towering mechanism of coils, condensers, and fields of force, a mechanism equipped with hundreds of universally mounted telescopic projectors. On and on the procession moved, day after day, to pause finally beneath the field upon which Earth's stupendous armada lay. The truck of thinkers moved to the fore, and its occupants surveyed briefly the terrain so far above them. Then, while the 10 leaders continued working as one machine, the doers waited. Waited while it went through its seemingly interminable series of preliminary maneuvers. Waited with the calmly placid immobility, the utterly inhuman patience of the machine. Finally, the last inspection of the gigantic space fleet was made. The massive airlock doors were sealed, the field tortured and scarred by the raving blasts of energy that had so many times hurled upward the stupendous masses of those towering super-dreadnoughts of the void, was deserted. All was in readiness for the final takeoff. Then, deep underground, from the hundreds of telescope-like projectors studding the domed mechanism of the automatons, there reached out invisible but potent beams of force. Through ore, rock, and soil they sped, straight to the bodies of all the men aboard one selected vessel of the terrestrials. As each group of beams struck its mark, one of the crew stiffened momentarily, then settled back, apparently unchanged and unharmed. But the victim was changed and harmed. and in an awful and hideous fashion. Every motor and sensory nerve trunk had been severed and tapped by the beams of the Thinkers. Each crew member's organs of sense now transmitted impulses, not to his own brain, but to the mechanical brain of a Thinker. It was the Thinker's brain, not his own, that now sent out the stimuli which activated his every voluntary muscle. Soon, a pit yawned beneath the doomed ship's bulging side. Her sealed airlocks opened, and 410 automatons, with their controllers and other mechanisms, entered her and concealed themselves in various pre-selected rooms. And thus the Dresden took off with her sister ships, ostensibly and even to television inspection a unit of the fleet. Actually, that fleet's bitterest and most implacable foe, and in a double ray-proof compartment, the 10 Thinkers continued their work, without rest or intermission, upon a mechanism even more astoundingly complex than any theretofore attempted by their soulless and ultra-scientific clan.